They're two distinct but similar situations in which the refs can absolutely destroy the viewing experience for us fans. Bad officiating and biased officiating. Now, biased officiating is a touchy topic since we have no real evidence that games are externally influenced. But that said, when coincidences start to stack up, they form a pattern. You can also argue that biased officiating is bad officiating, because it is, but let's look at them as two different things. Because while bad officiating is harmful for the league, the biased officiating is really harmful for the league, since it reflects a much more deep-rooted systemic issue. And the thing about bad officiating is that it kind of masks the biased officiating, since you can just play off the biased officiating as bad officiating. And in the last week, we had two atrocious moments highlighting both of these. So in our first moment, we have bad officiating. When a ref misses a call, it can be an extremely frustrating situation. But when a ref gets emotionally attached to a call, that's when the real damage happens. And that's exactly what happened with the Pistons last week. In this moment at the end of the third, we can see this loose ball foul on Stewart pushing Jay Will out of the way. Definitely a foul on Stewart. And that's the call that's made. But then for some reason, Mr. Referee over here only lines up Jay Will despite it being a common foul where everyone should line up. Cade points this out, and then for doing so, the ref tees him up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian Forte is just saying, look, I got this. And Cade Cunningham just got hit with a technical foul.
And in this situation, Cade has a pretty mild temperament. He's not yelling at the ref the way so many players do. So why Mr. Referee gets in his feels, I have no idea. And Cade, continuing to defend himself for having the correct take in the first place, then gets ejected.
For the Pistons, JB Bickerstaff coming down to try to protect his players.
And now Cade Cunningham just got thrown out of the game.
So this ref removes Detroit's top scoring player from the game, taking away the one dude that so many fans paid their hard-earned money to see, all because he got his feelings hurt. Like maybe Cade was pushing a little too hard, but that's only because the ref was incorrect in the first place. And if we look closely, Cade doesn't even look like he's being disrespectful, only defending what should have been the right call in the first place. But instead of admitting to his mistake, Dr. Ref argues back with Cade defending his incorrect position and then has a power trip and yosses him out of the game. At the end of this whole escapade, the refs gave out 5 technicals in the span of 6 minutes. Funny how in a game against OKC, our officiating complaints aren't against Shea's foul baiting for once. But don't get me wrong, there was still a lot of that too. So this was an example of bad officiating. A case where a bad call is made and the ref doubles down and ruins the game further. In our next case though, the referees are calm and collected, and their choices are much more decisive, really highlighting the deviousness behind the scenes. A couple nights ago, the Rockets and Sixers had a dogfight, which I can only describe as absolute cinema. With 11 players out and coming off a back-to-back, the Sixers' main goal in this game was to simply not get absolutely humiliated. And yet, coming into the second half, these boys were up 25 points on the 2-seed Rockets. Quentin Grimes was looking to be the next breakout star, putting up 46 against one of the best defenses in the entire league. Seriously, he did not look like he could be stopped.
Quentin Grimes, quick catches, shoots.
Up on this end of the floor.
Quentin Grimes off the great pass from Edwards. Away with 23 tonight. Make it 26 for Quentin Grimes.
Dallas really gave up this dude for Caleb Martin. Might even be a bigger L than losing Luka. I'm kidding, but this is a crazy track record for a GM who still has a job. Anyway, the Rockets ended up having a crazy 10-2 run in the last minute of the game, sending the game to OT and ultimately coming out on top. Now, because the Rockets ended up winning this game, the terrible officiating will be forgotten. But I want to take a deeper dive into just how terrible and one-sided the officiating was at the end of this game. Because man, towards the end of this game, bro, the refs weren't even trying to hide their motives. They did not want the Rockets to win. Let's start with this no call on VanVleet. With the Rockets only down 4 at this point, this was a critical shot. And Brissett only makes contact with his hand. 0 contact on the ball. No call. Ball goes Philly's way. Now this is the part that really pissed me off. After the no call, VanVleet chases Brissett down and makes contact with the ball. Immediately the refs call this a flagrant. When watching it in slow-mo, it really seems like this should be a common foul. But in real-time speed, I can see where the refs are coming from. All good, at least they're going to review it. There's no contact to the face, VanVleet just got hosed off 3 free throws and is trying to make a hustle play in crunch time. Of course physicality is going to be higher, so it should be reduced to a common foul. Definitely should not be warranted to be a flagrant one.
After review, the contact by the defensive player is significant. Wind up, impact, and follow through. The ruling on the floor has been upgraded to a flagrant foul penalty 2, and number 5 has been ejected from the game.
Somebody better hold Fred VanVleet back.
That's crazy.
Philadelphia will shoot 2 free throws and inbound on the sideline.
He didn't make contact to his head. That's crazy.
They said wind up.
Yup, the sleazy refs are back at it, ejecting Fred VanVleet from the game. This is now the second player who's gotten kicked out of the game, with Tari Eason having fouled out earlier. Now after a couple miracles, the Rockets were able to force overtime. Now the refs are really sweating. Uh-oh, our jobs might be compromised since we weren't able to successfully collude this game. Now these next few calls can be disregarded as bad calls, but with the context of what's happened so far, it seems a little more intentional than that. Here the defender clearly makes contact with the ball as Sengun is driving to the basket, which should result in a jump ball, maybe even a foul with how these refs have been officiating this game. Instead, we get another egregious call.
Tied up a little bit. He's called for a walk. He's called for a walk. He made it out.
Now after this, we get a foul against the Rockets. Yeah, okay, no surprise there. But now the refs are trying to be sneaky, sending Quentin Grimes to the line even though this was only the first foul in the final 2 minutes. And they could have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that meddling Ime screaming his ass off at the refs. And indeed, they did end up making it a side-out call. But seriously, giving him free throws when they weren't supposed to at the end of the game is treacherous, even if it was a mistake. Despite all this, the Rockets pulled through, making this one of the best games of the season. Now I'm simply guessing here, but I can't help but think that Vegas had a hand in the officiating of this game. Look, when the Rockets are down 25 to an understaffed tanking Sixers team, the entire world is betting one way. Everyone sees good odds for this Rockets team to make a more than likely comeback, and you know what? That's exactly what happened. So Vegas would end up losing a lot of money if the Rockets did end up winning. Now call me a conspiracy nut, whatever. But scenarios like this seem to have been happening a lot more lately. If Adam Silver is really trying to escape the tampering allegations, he would allow an independent committee of refs to officiate the game instead of some insiders, or at least hold them accountable. But of course, this is never going to happen, because there are other factors at play. Hooligan.